You think Adam and the woman and the talking snake talking about a tree is entire fantasy. Let me show to you. Let me show to you an archaeological artifact.
Evidence of this.
An archaeological artifact, my dear friend, from the British Museum.
Where's the talking snake?
What the British
It's
Museum?
not talking.
What the British Museum
There's one
calls-
here as well.
Excuse
Get
me.
off my chin again. What's wrong
Yeah,
with
it's
you?
right.
You're
The
not-
British Museum
You're not my
calls-
type.
What the British Museum calls Adam and Eve seal, and what the seal shows.
Because they call it that. doesn't
This
mean
is
it
a seal, by the way. What the seal shows is a gentleman and a lady and
They've
a tree
got clothes on there,
and,
haven't they?
and a snake
They've got clothes on.
and a snake.
They don't have a, what do
right
you call it, leaf?
next to them.
A fig leaf.
So I'd like to ask all of you very intelligent people who have cared not to read, not to get to know about archaeological artifacts, yet have taken the trouble to mock the Bible.
They're wearing clothes.
May I please
There's
ask
two
you?
snakes.
Got audio with it. How do we know it's a talking snake and it's not a snake?
Have you got eyes with
Is
you?
it- yes, but how do we know it's a
have
talking?
you got
I've
eyes
got
with
ears
you,
as well. I can't hear it talking. Is that a talking? Is that a talking
Explain
snake?
to me, please, my dear, very intelligent friend. Explain to me, please, why on earth would one of the very ancient civilizations outside of the Bible have a seal instead of having a donkey or a lion or all sorts of other things which they could have had,
Copied stories, aren't they, from
They
history?
stole from others.
when they could have had all
Other
sorts.
stories.
I'd like to think you are extremely intelligent for you to answer before even I finish my question.
Yeah, I haven't got the time. Really.
If you haven't got the time,
Because
you
I
must
know-
be
I
even
know
more
the answer.
intelligent.
I know the answer. The answer.
And then he destroyed it. And then he gave us tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanoes, cancers, childhood cancers. Didn't even wait for the adults to grow up. Let's let them be born with cancer. Let their pain and suffering start right from the beginning.
Let's deal with some facts,
Those
Stephen.
babies really need testing, don't they?
Stephen, let's deal with some facts. So
Oh, let's deal with some facts. Yeah, get your Bible.
you were
out.
upset earlier when I said if you had lived before Noahic flood,
I'd
you
be
would have
very-
lived longer, growing up much higher and stronger. You were upset.
How
Now,
high? How high?
I don't know how high, but higher than what you are right now. And the
So
reason
God really hated the Chinese, I guess, because he made them really short, didn't he?
No.
So they must
They-
have really sinned.
Stephen, now let's deal with some facts.
It's a tall race.
No, jokes we can make later. Now, the fact of the matter
Maasai
is,
warriors, they're quite tall, so they were less
Stephen,
simple, I
the
guess.
fact of the matter is
The fact of the matter is there's no facts and this is bollocks.
there are
Can
two.
we please move on?
There are
Can we
two.
please move on?
There are
Why are you
two.
going like that? That's rude.
That is true. There are two
also
specific
very rude.
archaeological, historical artifacts
people.
which give us information about the length of life that people had before Noahic flood.
And
Two
their-
specific
and their
ones.
height, presumably.
One of them is the Bible. The Bible, of course, tells us that before
What's the
Noahic
other one?
flood,
The Quran?
no.
No.
The other one, Jacob, can you please get Genesis chapter 6, I think? Is it?
you might as well do it yourself,
the ages
haven't
of Adam and so on. The other is what is called the Sumerian king list. The Sumerian king list is the only historical archaeological artifact that we have outside of the Bible which give us some information about the length of life. Stephen, you need to listen to this fact.
There might be something
Length
more
of
interesting
life.
going on over there.
There is nothing more interesting or
interesting than
important than your salvation.
My
Sumerian
salvation.
king list.
What is that?
What does
Tambourine
Sumerian
player.
king list say? Let's
I
read.
saw the Salvation Army band playing on Oxford Street.
Are you
They're
Stephen,
really-
serious
a
stuff.
list?
Sumerian king list says this. After the kingship, of course this is a translation, after the kingship descended from heaven, the kingship was in Eridu. In Eridu,
What?
was in Eridu.
What's that?
This is a Sumerian name. In
A
Eridu,
place.
a name of a place, yeah. In Eridu, Alulim became king.
Who?
Alulim,
What's that?
that's name of a king, became king. He ruled for 28,800 years.
A king
Alalga
ruled for 28,000 years.
Well done. I'm glad that you're listening.
28,000, but the world's only
Alalga,
6,000 years old.
please wait, listen for the rest of the story. Please wait, listen for the rest of.
only 6,000 years old.
Excuse me,
You're
please,
confused.
Stephen. If you wait and listen, you
The
may get to
Muslim
know.
guy says confused.com.
If you wait and listen, you may get to know. Alalga ruled for 36,000 years.
On a
Two kings,
6,000-year-old planet.
they ruled for 64,800 years. And it goes on
Hello,
giving.
right? Three of us.
Stephen, please listen. It goes on giving information about all sorts of kings who lived before the flood, because ultimately,
only 6,000
excuse me,
years old, you just
ultimately
told
it says, then the flood swept over. After the flood had swept over and the kingship had descended from the heaven, the kingship was in Kis. In Kis, Gisur became king. He ruled for 1,200 years. Kalusina Bel ruled for 900 years. Nangis Lisma ruled for 1,200 years.
I hope you're going to read out a lot more.
We love
If you go through the Sumerian king list carefully,
Yes, please do.
what
Enough facts as well.
Forget those things.
what you would find is that the Sumerian king list talks about a worldwide flood, number one. And number two, it gives the length of time in which kings ruled before the flood, and it gives length of time in which couple of kings ruled after the flood. What you would see,
Which add up to more than 6,000, don't
that
they?
is true. But if
So
you
that
pay,
rather screws up your other story that
Not-
you told us only 10
that
minutes
is
ago
not
that the world
true.
is 6,000 years
that is
old.
not true if you wait.
6,000.
That is not true if you wait and let
Times
me
100,
complete.
or-
That is not true if you wait and let me complete.
Confused, aren't you?
If you wait and let me
You
complete,
need to
Stephen,
check your
the
stories
point
before
is
you
this.
give them to us.
The point
'Cause they
is,
contradict each other
Excuse me.
hugely.
the point is this.
No, because you'll come up with more nonsense.
When we stick to the numbers that Sumerian king list gives us, what is crystal clear is that the length of time in which kings ruled before this flood was much higher, a factor of about 300 or so, higher than the length of time kings ruled after the flood. That's an interesting
Were there ever
observation.
queens or was that
Number
only
one.
kings?
Number one.
Were there
Number
any
two.
women in control then?
Not according to the Sumerian king list. Number two, on top of this, we also have a brain which we can use.
Found it, yeah.
If we use our brain, Stephen, what we
Oh,
may
don't wanna do
also,
that here.
what we may also come to
This is a
dealing with,
religious meeting, isn't it?
dealing with is the fact that different civilizations had different based number systems. Not all used
Yeah.
the decimal system.
You floss, don't you?
Excuse me,
Nice teeth.
not,
Seriously.
not.
You look after
Do you
your teeth.
floss?
You
Do you
floss,
floss?
don't you? It looks like you floss your teeth.
Do you use whitener?
Oh, okay. Now, what?
Very neat and
Excuse me,
straight, aren't they,
Stephen.
as well,
Please
yeah.
wait. Listen.
Did you
Thank
wear
you.
a brace when you were a child?
Please wait. Listen, Stephen. We're dealing with urgent issues.
Dealing with your dental.
Issues related to your life and death.
Not really.
The point is this: if we take into account the fact that different civilizations used different number systems, not all used decimal systems, what you would appreciate, Stephen, is that the 28,000 that you see there is not 28,800 necessarily in the
They
way
count
you read it.
backwards, don't they?
So they didn't rule for a long time.
Because their numbering
They did
system
not. The
was
point
all
is this.
It's unreliable. That's what you're
Yes,
saying.
well,
No, what we can rely upon is the ratio
We can rely
of the
on you
length
talking
of the time for which the kings ruled before the flood versus after the flood. The fact of the matter is this. Like I said earlier, Stephen, like I said earlier,
Can you say that again?
there are only two archaeological artifacts which talk about
Yeah, the
the
Sumerian
length of
doo-doo.
time in which people lived before the flood. One is the Bible and the other is the Sumerian king list. Both of them agree that before Noahic flood, people lived for much longer.
So why did
So
the
both
flood,
of them
so why
agree,
did the
and
flood
therefore
make them live shorter?
I'll explain to you. So just to summarize,
This is sin.
just to summarize,
Were they doing lots of fucking on the
Excuse me.
ark?
They were in the parade, weren't they? There were only two of them left.
Was there lots of fucking on the ark?
you need to keep him in order. He is misbehaving. You need to keep him in order, not entertaining him.
They were fucking their
This is
brothers and sisters.
entertainment. Nothing more, nothing
Point is
less.
this. Summary. Bible is historically reliable.
Reliable.
Well,
Even in the fact of Noahic flood and the lifespans of people before Noahic
How
flood.
did the-
Historically
how-
reliable
can you answer
for
one
those who
question?
care to get to
Can you
know
answer one
archaeology.
question?
For
Just
those
one
who
question.
don't want to
It's a
get
very
to know
simple
archaeology,
question.
of course it might seem as fantasy.
Can
And
you answer
therefore,
a
You're
question?
right. You got
Yes,
it at
One
last.
question. How
You
were the
understand.
kangaroos taken back to Australia? How?
Well, they do bounce.
good question. All right,
How
the
did
question,
the kangaroos get taken back to Australia?
question, how did the kangaroos get taken to Australia?
And the answer is...
The answer is, if you wait, you will get to know. So, the nature,
I might have another question about another animal next. So just to
good.
warn you.
The nature of Earth before the flood is much different to the nature of the Earth after the
We
flood.
know what
Number
it is
one.
now, though, don't we?
We know what
Australia,
is there
quite a
now.
long way away.
We know what is there now. We don't know what was there
Well,
before
that's
the
not
flood.
relevant.
Number one. Number two.
Not relevant.
Number two. We do appreciate through history originating in Tamil Nadu. We do understand in India. We do understand that there are certain animals which can even use logs.
A long
travel-
way to go on a log, isn't it?
There are ocean currents. Stephen,
So they had a saw. They got their carters toolkit out.
who remembers about the plane MH370? Who remembers?
Well, highly relevant. Yes.
MH370.
Plane that crashed.
Malaysian Airlines plane
Oh, yeah, I
that
remember
disappeared. Where did it appear? Again, we have found a few parts from that specific aircraft in the last.
Do you mean kangaroos got on a plane and it crashed?
Excuse me, sir.
Is that
I'd
how-
like you to use your brain a bit and then answer, not before that. Now,
Debris
the question,
Debris
the
from
question-
a crashed plane is slightly different to a
the
kangaroo.
question was simple.
Living, breathing, bouncing kangaroo.
The question was MH370.
No, that wasn't the
People
question.
knew precisely where it left the radar, the observation of radar systems. People know that. The last observed location is, I believe, somewhere in Asia, somewhere east of India. That much I remember. I don't remember the exact spot. Exact spot, I don't remember. But we found a few parts from that specific plane in the last couple of years or so, and both of them were found in Africa. Both of them. So the question is,
So the kangaroos
question is, for those of you who do not care to read, or listen or understand, may I please comment before you, Stephen, and the rest of the crew here. There are things called ocean currents.
Oh, yeah.
Are they a bit like ocean
Ocean currents which can take floating objects by thousands of miles distance.
Try not to laugh.
Free of cost.
You know this is bloody rubbish.
Free of cost.
don't you?
You don't need MH370 flying.
Telling this story,
My dear friend,
it sounds like a child's story. It
sounds like a child story for a child. That is true.
that's exactly
For a
what
child
it
who
is.
doesn't know where about MH370, for a child who doesn't know where specific parts of MH370 were found, of course it
So
would
the
sound like a
kangaroos
child story.
floated
The question
thousands
was
of
about how
miles.
did kangaroos get to Australia? And suddenly we're talking about aeroplanes.
Wooden,
So they
wooden
built,
planks
they built a
can
log,
float.
They built a raft.
wooden planks can float,
So
and
they
they
Not
can float,
kangaroos,
Get the
not
planks from.
kangaroos.
and
Could you
kangaroos,
float
Planks
to
don't
Australia?
grow.
And kangaroos
Trees
float to
grow.
Australia.
Planks
and
don't.
Could
kangaroos,
you float to Australia?
and kangaroos.
Could you float to Australia? With all respect, you could not float to Australia on a log. That is nonsense.
As a matter of
Please don't
fact,
take us for fools.
Stephen,
You
as
could
a-
not
as a-
float on a log
as
to
a,
Australia.
as a matter of fact, I do not know the precise detail of which specific ocean currents connect which specific continents
God
with
does.
Australia. That I
God
don't know.
knows that.
And which
I
log
admit.
was it?
But
What
the
tree
fact,
was it?
You did not even listen, did you?
Blog 462.
My dear friend, you did not even listen, did you?
No, you didn't listen. I did find it hard to concentrate on your nonsense.
So, my dear friends,
Even
the
your
point,
Christian friend is
the
laughing.
point is this simple. Biblical claims
Funny though, isn't it?
are historically verifiable. Claims. So, for instance, let me talk about another claim which you normally, people who don't
Can we say-
read,
We
don't.
haven't concluded the problem of the flood and how kangaroos got to Australia. So can we stick on one story before flipping to another one?
I have already realized that I have come to
An end.
I have come to an edge in terms of dealing with your intellect. You can't cope with anything more than mere fantasy laughter stories. Now, how many of you believe Adam and Eve are mere fantasy ideas? How many of you think so? Good. How many others? Good. 2 volunteers. Who else?
Adam and Eve are fantasy stories.
Good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Any more? 5. Okay. You 6. All right.
There's only
So,
6 people that think Adam and Eve are fantasy.
including 2 of his hands. Yes. Now, the fact of the
Anything
matter
else
is
I can
this.
Point upwards.
You think Adam and the woman and the talking snake talking about a tree is entire fantasy.
Just a
Let
little.
me show
Just
to
a
you.
little.
Let me show to you an
You've
archaeological
got
artifact.
photographic evidence of this.
An archaeological artifact, my dear friend, from the British Museum.
Where's the,
What the
where's the
British
talking
Museum-
snake?
What the British
It's
Museum.
not talking.
What the British Museum
There's one
calls.
here as well.
Excuse
Get
me.
off my chin again! What's wrong with you?
What
You're
the
not-
British Museum
You're not my
calls.
type.
What the British Museum calls Adam and Eve seal, and what the seal shows.
Because they call it that. Doesn't
This
mean
is
it
a seal, by the way. What the seal shows
Seal.
is a gentleman and a lady and
They've
a
got
tree
clothes on there,
and,
haven't they?
and a snake
They've got clothes on.
and a snake
They don't have a, what do
right
you call it, leaf?
next to them.
A fig leaf.
So I'd like to ask all of you very intelligent people who have cared not to read, not to get to know about archaeological artifacts, yet have taken the trouble to mock the Bible.
They're wearing clothes.
May I please
There's
ask
2
you?
I've got
snakes.
audio with it. How do we know it's a talking snake and it's not a snake?
Have you got eyes with you?
Yes, but how do we know it's a
have
talking?
you got
I've
eyes
got
with you,
ears
sir?
as well. I can't hear it talking. Is that a
can see
talking?
its mouth
Is
as
that a
well.
talking
Explain
snake?
to me, please, my dear, very intelligent friend, explain to me, please, why on earth would one of the very ancient civilizations outside of the Bible have a seal instead of having a donkey or a lion or
Many,
all
many
sorts of other things
stories
which
were-
they could have
were-
had,
were-
Copied
were
stories,
included in
aren't
the
they,
Bible.
from
They stole
history?
from others.
when
from
they could
other-
have had all
other
sorts.
stories.
I'd like to think you are extremely intelligent for you to answer before even I finish my question.
Yeah, I haven't got the time. Really.
If you haven't got the time,
Because
you
I
must
know-
be
I
even
know
more
the
intelligent.
answers. I know the answer. The answer's going to be.
When is your next appointment with
God,
what,
David
David Cameron or what?
answer, so that's why I haven't got time for the question.
You haven't got time for anything including learning, my dear friend, which is
Well, we
a
don't come
problem.
here to learn, with all respect.
Sorry, are the credentials of the person who sculptured this?
This is the British Museum.
They didn't make
of
it,
the
did they?
They
sculpture.
stole it from somewhere.
Of the
Where did
sculpture.
they steal it from?
Can I finish,
Where did
please?
they
No,
get
no,
this
answer
from?
my question.
I heard your question. If you give me time, I may
where did they
answer.
get it?
Go on then.
Good. What I showed you right now is a seal
Yeah.
which has been obtained from about a couple of thousand years before.
Culture.
You don't wait to listen, do you?
You said
I thought you
2000
asked a
years.
question.
Go on then. I'm not
Good.
going to interrupt you.
Good, thank you. Well done. Couple of thousand years before the Lord Jesus Christ came on the earth, British Museum unfortunately hasn't interviewed the sculptor.
British Museum
He
was
has
there then?
British Museum didn't get the chance to get an appointment with the person who made the seal. All that the British Museum managed to do was grab hold of this seal and various other archaeological artifacts from excavation sites. Unfortunately, no interviews with the people at that time.
And it's not credible, is it?
Really? British Museum isn't credible for you? Oh yeah, I'll tell you something.
That's your name.
It is true.
You. That's your book, isn't it? That's your name.
Of course it is my book.
That's his book. That's you. That's him. How much is it? Let me see.
The more time,
How much you charge?
the more the time I spend with you,
the extreme
level of your intelligence I get to know.
Let's read your
So
book.
the lady's first point was because we do do
finger
not
in
know
the-
who made it, it is not credible. That was the lady's first point. And that is a shame for someone who apparently doesn't know how history works. Most of the archaeological artifacts that we get to know from that we have access to in museums, we do not know who made them.
Then
We
you
just
must be
have the
sceptical.
artifacts.
Then you must be skeptical.
Really? Excuse me, that's
Have
not
no
how skeptic.
skepticism here.
That's not how mind works.
No.
I must
You're
be.
gullible. You're gullible.
We just swallow it, hook, line, and
You
sinker.
swallow
No
any shit
skepticism
that you
at
see
all.
that's
Can I
carved.
please comment a few things before you
What
comment?
do we reckon?
Thank
Should we
you.
say yes or no?
When you get an
Wait for an answer to that question.
when you get an archaeological artifact, there are certain things you can't get to know. Of course, you can't interview the person who made it if that was made 2,000 years ago. Of course, that is true.
You interview God,
but
don't you?
but you can get to know certain things from it already, like what is there in the seal? A man, a woman, a tree,
with clothes
and
on.
snakes.
Snakes, not one.
Why would
was
about
talking snake.
a couple of thousand
You
years
said a
before
talking snake.
Christ? I never said talking snake. That's your fantasy idea again.
It's on
Phil.
film.
You're lying. You're lying.
Liar, liar.
British Museum of Talking Snake.
Pants on fire.
I don't remember saying the evidence. That, my apologies. But coming back to what we are talking about, Adam and the woman and the tree
she not have
and
a
the
name, the
snake
woman?
is quite popular well before Jesus Christ's time. For your information, Moses wrote the book called Genesis about
Christianity copied it from other
about
stories.
1000 BC is when Moses
It's all
wrote that book.
copied from
But we
older
have
religions.
archaeological artifact which most likely refers to the same thing.
Most likely.
That's the key word.
That's the key word.
Yes, Most likely.
absolutely. Absolutely. Most
Not
likely, not
absolutely,
less
most
likely,
likely.
most likely refers to the same thing. For a,
Supposition.
the seal the person made
Look at your book.
could have had a
Can I have a look
donkey,
at it? Can I, please?
could have had a giraffe,
Can I have a look at
could
it?
have had a lion, could have had a tiger, could have had all sorts of other things with the man and the woman
Can I
and the
take it?
tree. Why a snake? Number one. Number two, apart from the specific artifact, we also find most
You
of the
cheapskate. You cheapskate.
most
Printed in India.
most
Probably getting paid 10p an hour.
most of the ancient civilizations actually have
Guess who he
a
dedicated it
snake
to?
as the.
His lord.
Hello, Stephen. Are you listening?
No,
Most
I'm
of
reading
ancient,
I'm reading your fantastic book.
most of ancient civilizations treat a snake as the god of fertility. The question I'd like to
Ancient
ask.
religions, yeah.
The question I'd like to ask you is why?
Because the snake changes their skin anytime they want.
Snake changes its skin and therefore it's the god of fertility.
Yeah.
That's what I call fantasy.
Oh,
I call that fantasy.
your two little nephews got thanked.
Hey, it makes sense in my head. You can't tell me it doesn't.
I shall give you a more sensible interpretation. And the interpretation,
Patrick Wilson, is that our Patrick?
The key is interpretation.
a more crucial, more relevant interpretation is this. Adam and the woman who later became Eve and the snake
Later
which came
became Adam and Eve. What were they to
Eve,
begin
Eve.
with?
Eve wasn't Eve, called
She
Eve
was a
before
spare-
the
she
fall.
was- she was a spare
Eve
rib,
was
wasn't
given
she,
the
at
name
first?
Eve after the fall. Anyway, but point
What
more,
was she called before?
the woman.
Rib.
She was just called the
rib?
woman. Someone taken from the man is how she
We
was
should
called
pour
earlier.
barbecue sauce on our
Stephen,
women, shouldn't
we're
we?
dealing with important things
Spare
here.
rib.
Now, the point is, when, excuse me, please, excuse me, sir, please, if you wait to
No,
listen,
what
thank
was
you.
it?
You know why? Have you tried to take a rib from black man?
Come on,
Rib from
please.
black men, no.
Okay. You
Give
would know
up
that
on
Eve
things
wasn't.
which we don't know
Adam wasn't
about.
black.
Get to deal with things only about which we do know. The fact of the matter is this:
Well, throw this
when
away then.
when the woman ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and the man also took the fruit and ate, the Lord
was
came
it? Apple?
and judged.
So if they
And one
weren't
of
meant
the
to eat the apples,
and
where
one
were
of
they
the
getting their vitamin
one of
C
the
from?
points in the judgment,
apples.
one of the
Oranges.
points in the judgment towards the woman was this: I will increase your childbirth and your pain during childbirth. I will increase your childbirth.
How does she know she
Through
didn't have a
what?
child yet?
Through what the serpent led the woman to do. So what you find here, excuse me my dear friends, what you find here, the Bible gives you some insight about how a serpent
I can't take
was
any more.
related to increased conception in mankind. And so no wonder the early civilizations had snake as the god of fertility. So for those who think all these are fantasy ideas, may I comment before you, my dear friends? The Bible, as far as it could be established to be historical. The only things which can't be established or could not be established either way. They are neutral. For example, did the snake talk? Of course, you and I can't verify that today outside of the Bible. And therefore, I can't say outside of the Bible if the snake spoke or not. You can't make up your mind either way. But
Snake don't speak, man.
they don't speak today.
Have brain.
And the fact of the matter is, my dear friends, the Bible is out and out history. The Bible is credible history. God made the heavens and the earth. And God ultimately made mankind in His own image. Good to see you. God ultimately made mankind in His own image. Adam,
Bring me a snake that is speak right now.
bring your...
Bring me a snake that can talk. Why this all happened 2,000 years ago? Why is not happening until now? Why snake don't talk now?
Because they haven't got much more to
Why?
tell you.
But just exactly, you have nothing, man.
You
just
didn't know
talking
even
nonsense.
listen to my answer. Now, more crucially, the
That's
point
nonsense.
is,
What are you guys talking about?
this
Snake?
one,
Snake talk?
the
What kind of
Bible,
snake talk?
my dear friend, instead of talking about things which don't matter
A
to
man
us,
wrote this, man, telling you stories, right?
This is not story.
in the
Yes,
last
it's stories.
half an hour or so, we have been
Of
establishing.
Matthew, it's stories of Luke, it's stories of
Excuse
the
me, sir.
Corinthians, Paul. It's all stories.
So the fact of the matter is plain simple. For all those who are skeptics out there, especially talking about the talking snake and the animals in the ark and things like that, people who lived for several hundred years before the flood and things like that, may I please comment before you? The Bible, as far as it could be found, is found to be historical, out and out. There are only things which we cannot establish to be historical, which can't change our mind either way. But as far as evidences go outside of the Bible, there has not been found anything which is inconsistent with the Bible. And therefore, may I please ask, comment before everyone that we need to get to the Word of God. We need to get to terms with that specific God, God of the Bible. Jesus showed up about 2,000 years ago. God of the Bible, who we have rebelled against, showed up about 2,000 years ago, and we have a way out of our misery. We have a way out and entering into eternity, and that is through Jesus Christ alone. And I extend this invitation which Jesus had about 2,000 years ago, which is that all of us come to Him and enter into eternal life for our own sake. God bless you richly.